What's the most redneck thing your family has done? My grandma once defeated a millionaire using nothing but goats, a banjo, and a deep understanding of local zoning laws. Our family owns a little farm in rural Tennessee. We've had it for generations. For most of my childhood, the land next door was just an empty field. Then a developer from California bought it. He announced plans to build a luxury wedding venue. At first, everyone thought it sounded nice. Then construction started. The workers cut down a row of trees that acted as a windbreak for our property. Dust blew everywhere. They parked trucks across our access road. And then they built an enormous outdoor reception area right next to our fence. The final straw came when they installed giant floodlights. Every night, our farm looked like a football stadium. The chickens stopped laying normally. The horses got spooked. Even Grandma couldn't sleep. She politely went over and asked if the lights could be adjusted. The manager barely looked at her. He said, "Maybe country people need to get used to progress." Grandma smiled. That's always a dangerous sign. The next morning, she called the county office, then the zoning office, then 3 people she'd apparently known since high school. For 2 weeks, she made phone calls, took notes, read property records. I thought she was giving up. She wasn't. She was studying. Then one Saturday, she called a family meeting. "I've got a plan." Whenever Grandma says that, you immediately become nervous. She explained that according to county regulations, livestock were perfectly legal on our side of the property line, especially goats. A lot of goats. By Tuesday, we somehow owned 17 goats. I still don't know where she found 17 goats on such short notice. She moved them into a pasture directly beside the wedding venue. Goats are adorable. They're also incredibly loud. And apparently they become even louder when wedding music starts playing. During the venue's first ceremony, the bride said, "I do." And every single goat screamed at once. The photographer's video apparently sounded like a haunted petting zoo. The venue manager came storming over. Grandma simply waved and asked if he liked her new pets. The following weekend, there was another wedding. This time, Grandma sat on her porch and played her banjo. Not loudly, just loudly enough, perfectly legal. The venue complained again. The sheriff came out, had a cup of coffee with Grandma, then left. Because she wasn't breaking any laws, things escalated. The venue began spraying air freshener near the fence whenever events were happening. So Grandma adopted 6 more goats. She named them after the venue owners. One of them was particularly mean. She named that one Mr. Henderson. Then came the grand finale. One evening, the developer himself showed up. He was furious. Apparently, several couples had left bad reviews online. One review literally said, "Beautiful venue, but there was a goat screaming through our vows." Another mentioned a mysterious banjo playing in the distance. The developer threatened legal action. Grandma invited him onto the porch, poured him sweet tea, then slid a folder across the table. Inside were copies of every complaint she'd filed about their floodlights, blocked access road, and construction violations. Turns out the venue had skipped several permits, and those violations carried some very expensive fines. The man went pale. Grandma smiled. Then she made him an offer. He'd fix the lights, replant the trees, pay for the damage to our fencing, and donate to the local animal shelter. Or she'd happily keep raising goats beside his wedding venue forever. He signed the agreement 3 days later. The lights were fixed. The trees were replanted. Peace returned, mostly because Grandma refused to get rid of the goats. She'd gotten attached. A few years later, I attended a wedding at that venue. Everything was beautiful. At the reception, I noticed something strange. Near the entrance stood a wooden sign. It read, "Please do not feed the neighboring goats." Underneath was another sign. Yes, the banjo lady is real. And underneath that was the funniest part. If you hear screaming during the ceremony, it's probably Gerald. Gerald was one of Grandma's goats. Apparently, he'd become famous. When I got home and told Grandma, she laughed so hard she cried. Then she looked out at the pasture and said, "You know, I never intended to start a tourist attraction." I asked if she'd ever regretted fighting the developer. She grinned. "Absolutely not." Then she pointed at Gerald. "That goat's made it into more wedding photos than the groom."